Quick, drop a like in 5 seconds for good luck in your next Call of Duty session.
Hard point for this long, we're gonna win the game.
Look at the shots, baby. Look at that. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Simp here. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. What I've got for you guys on the channel today are the best Season 4 settings in Modern Warfare. I wanted to show you guys my stats real quick, just so you don't think I'm some noob that's giving you guys some false tips or some false settings. I definitely think that these settings are the best settings to be using within Modern Warfare. Obviously, some of them are personal preference, but there are, some settings that you definitely should just automatically be running within Modern Warfare. Jumping right into the first setting, guys, I'm going to talk about the button layout preset. I actually use stick and move flip. This is actually a personal preference kind of setting, but I definitely recommend you guys try stick and move. Basically, with stick and move, you're jumping with the right analog stick, and it helps out a ton because you don't have to take your thumb off the analog stick to jump, so you're able to aim down sight and jump and be able to be really accurate, man. I'm telling you, I started doing it in Advanced Warfare, and it's basically like a scuff. Basically like a free scuff, guys, so definitely I recommend you guys try getting used to it. And I use flipped because I'm actually used to playing on PlayStation 3. I've been playing Call of Duty for a long time, and I used to play it on PlayStation 3, so I'm just used to shooting with my L1 or aiming down sight with L1 and shooting with R1. The stick layout preset is actually going to be default. Invert vertical look is going to be disabled. I've said it before, if you can play with invert vertical look, I give you credit, because I could never ever play with that. My dead zone is going to be 0.07. Horizontal stick sensitivity is going to be a 7, and vertical stick sensitivity is also going to be a 7. My ADS sensitivity multiplier and low zoom is going to be a 1.00, and same with the ADS sensitivity multiplier for high zoom. That's going to be a 1.00 as well. My aim response curve type is standard, and my controller vibration is going to be disabled. I highly recommend you guys disable your controller. That's one of those that I definitely think is almost mandatory. If you're playing with the controller vibration on, it typically does make your accuracy a little bit off, a little bit wonky, because it's vibrating and it's kind of throwing you off. You might get caught off guard. I've never played with controller vibration ever since, well, I guess I did play with controller vibration way back in the day, but I took it off, like, I want to say probably Black Ops 2. It's been a long time since I've actually played with controller vibration. Moving on down to the weapon settings. For my aim assist, I'm using standard. Weapon mount activation is going to be ADS plus the melee. Weapon mount movement exit is going to be enabled. Aim down sight behavior hold. Equipment behavior hold. Use reload behavior is tap to reload. If you're playing Warzone, you can actually switch it to contextual tap. It helps for opening chests and grabbing weapons a lot quicker. But in multiplayer, I definitely recommend you guys use tap to reload. Depleted ammo weapon switch is going to be enabled. Movement settings now, guys, slide behavior is actually going to be tap. I like being able to slide with tap. Just tap your circle button or whatever designated button you have to slide with. Tapping it obviously going to make it a lot quicker. Once you get used to it, I promise you, slide behavior tap is definitely one of those settings that you guys should try to get used to. Auto move forward is disabled. Automatic sprint, in my opinion, should be disabled. Vehicle camera recenter enabled. Parachute auto deploy, this is for Warzone. I use enabled. I definitely recommend you guys give that a shot. That's all the settings for controller. Definitely go ahead, adapt some of those, tweak some of them, personal preference, but most of those that I went through, like controller vibration, slide behavior, things like that, you should definitely try to get used to. Now moving on to some general settings. My brightness is actually 60. The game starts you out at 50, but in my opinion, I like moving it up to 60. It helps, personally, in my opinion, it helps me be able to see enemies that are in darker areas of the map or maybe laying down. So I move it to 60. I don't move it any higher or any lower. I think that 70 is just way too bright. I used to play on it, and in my gameplay, I could tell it was just way too bright. So I think you should adjust it to 60. If you want to keep it at 50, go ahead and do so, but I wouldn't go under 50, that's for sure. Film grain is going to be at a 0.00. I definitely recommend you guys take off film grain. It's I've heard from multiple people that it actually makes your gun look, or rather your game look more clear. The visual aspect of the game actually looks more clear, so go ahead and take the film grain all the way to 0.00. Tooltips, I have them enabled. Subtitles disabled. Language selection, personal preference, whatever language you speak. Colorblind type, this is actually what people ask me a lot in my videos and stuff like that, like how do you get your enemies teams the names of the enemies to be looking yellow, this is actually what I do, guys. It's a colorblind type. If you have it disabled, that's what it looks like. Protanopia, Deuteranopia. I use Deuteranopia just because I like what it looks like. It makes my game look a lot more vibrant, and you know, a lot of people wonder what I'm doing to be able to have that setting and look in the game. So definitely go ahead and turn on Deuteranopia if you guys want to have the same exact visual settings as I do. Colorblind target is going to be interfaced. World motion blur is going to be disabled, and weapon motion blur disabled. I definitely recommend you guys disable both of those, especially the world motion blur, because it just makes, you know, look on the right side, you see all that blur going on and stuff like that. If you see an enemy, you might not, you know, you might lose them in the blur. If you just take it off like that, disable it, it's going to remove all the blur, all the moving objects and stuff like that, and you'll definitely be able to pinpoint onto enemies a lot faster. And same with the weapon motion blur. I'd recommend taking it off personally, in my opinion. Moving down to the HUD settings, guys, for my mini map shape, I actually use square instead of circle, round, because round doesn't actually show as much of the map. You guys can see it a little bit. My face cam might be blocking it just a very tiny bit at the top, but the square mini map is actually a lot bigger than the round one. It gives you a wider display of the map and showing where enemies are coming from. Definitely recommend you guys get used to the square mini map shape. Mini map rotation enabled, that's pretty obvious. I don't think anyone should be playing with mini map rotation disabled. Definitely go ahead and enable that, so you got like a compass when you turn stuff like that. Speaking of compass, the compass cardinal direction text, I use letters. You could go ahead and use numbers if you'd like, but personally I like using letters. It's all up to you. My text chat is going to be disabled. I don't like, you know, seeing profanity and whatever it may be in the chat. Kind of distracts you too while you're in the game, so I'd recommend taking off text chat. Personally, in my opinion, it starts to work out for me pretty well. Dismemberment and gore effects are enabled, and that's pretty much all for the general settings, guys. So let's get into the audio settings, let you guys know what I'm using for my audio. My audio mix is actually a boost high. I prefer that. I feel like I hear enemies' footsteps louder and more clear. Master volume is going to be 100. I don't like the music volume. Personally, I don't like the theme music. Like, it's not that it's bad, it just kind of gets annoying when you're repetitively listening to it, so I turn that all the way down. Dialogue volume is going to be a 50. Effects volume is going to be 100. Real quick on the dialogue volume, the reason why I use 50 is because you can still hear your, you know, the in-game voiceovers from the characters, but it's not too loud to where it's like kind of, you know, overshadowing the footsteps and stuff like that. So I think 50 is like perfect for dialogue volume. Juggernaut music enabled. Hit marker sound effects, I personally prefer classic. You could use Modern Warfare if you want, but I prefer classic. Voice chat enabled. All that other stuff right here, voice chat volume, microphone volume, if you want to see it real quick, I use 100, 150. Voice chat effect, no effect, if you guys want to see that stuff. Last but not least, guys, in my account settings, crossplay is going to be enabled. Crossplay communication also is going to be enabled. Friend request and party invitations enabled. Display unique ID numbers disabled. I like just seeing, you know, OG Simp at the top right hand corner and in game, so I definitely recommend you just don't display your unique ID numbers. Streamer mode disabled. You can turn that on if you want to kind of be anonymous within the game. And yeah, guys, one more thing that I want to touch on before we're done talking about the settings. As you guys can see at the bottom right, it says connection type wired. If you don't plan a wired connection, I'd highly recommend you guys getting an Ethernet cable. Look it up on Amazon, whatever it may be. Go to Walmart, wherever you gotta go, get an Ethernet cable and plug that in so you get a wired connection type. It's gonna help you out a ton as far as it comes to connection. You're gonna have a wired connection, which really does increase your speeds through your console. It's going to help you win more gunfights and things like that. So yeah, guys, those basically the updated season 4 best settings video for Modern Warfare. I really hope you guys enjoy these settings and are able to do some pretty cool stuff with it, man. You know, tweak it a little bit, get used to it, and find whatever works best for you. I've actually, you know, had a very good time using these settings, and that's why I'm going to share them with you guys today. With all that being said, though, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to smack that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss a video. With all that being said, though, guys, it's been your boy Simp. I'm signing out. Enjoy the rest of your guys' day.
Ready for flyover. UAV entering the AO. Keep fighting, we got this. Get ready, we're about to move.
Enemy in the junkyard.
Be advised,
GG.
Gonna call that in.
copy.
There we go. Wall bang him.
Turn up.
Location secured. Enemy's got the hard point. Be advised, advanced UAV is bingo. Go for launch.
Go ahead and call this nuke in. GG, man. Little nukey nuke.
That's what I'm talking about, boys. GG.